Hi, I'm Jamie Green and welcome to a very special Product Gurus video. And the reason it's so special is because I am with the Ford Mustang Mach-E, Ford's first ever all-electric mass-produced car, and possibly the most important car that Ford have ever built. This car is going to pave the way for Ford's electrified future, and today I'm here. I'm privileged enough to be able to show you around what makes this car so special and why it's taken a fight to the other manufacturers. So let's dive in. Now, as ever, we're going to start off today by telling you what specifications you can have a Mach-E in. And the first car, the entry level, is the rear wheel drive. And it comes with so much as standard, I'm going to have to read it off a piece of paper because I can't remember this much. With the rear wheel drive, you get 18-inch alloys, privacy glass, quick clear windscreen, dual zone climate control, heated front and rear seats, heated steering wheel, rear view camera, adaptive cruise control, pre-collision sensors, all-round parking sensors, and so much more. I mean, how much do you want from a car as standard? It really does come into the market with a punch. And I'm going to show you some of these features and how they work just a little later on in this video. Now, the second Mach-E is the Mach-E all-wheel drive, and this comes with the 19-inch alloys, red brake calipers, and another electric motor on the front wheels, which just means the car's got that bit more grip and that bit more response from the acceleration, which in an electric car, as you've seen in previous videos, it can be pretty brutal. Now, you couldn't have a Mustang without a GT, and the Mach-E is no exception to that, with the GT coming with Magna-Ride suspension, 20-inch alloys, and 8-way adjustable Ford Performance seats. And not only that, it comes with an electric motor that produces 480 horsepower. It really is a magnificent car. And it comes in 3 exclusive colours to help you really stand out from the crowd. Now, what batteries are going to power your Mach-E? Well, if you have the rear-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive, you've got a choice of a 75 kilowatt-hour battery with a range of 279 miles, or the 99 kilowatt-hour battery with a range of 379 miles. The GT is only available with a 99 kilowatt-hour battery, and thanks to its massive power, will only return 310 miles, which in sports car terms is still pretty good. Now, to charge these batteries up, you've got the port on the passenger side of the car, and it can be charged from a home wall box. However, if you're out and about on the road and flip this panel, you expose the supercharging capability of the Mach-E, which can charge itself from 10% to 80% on the high power chargers in just 35 to 40 minutes, which, if you ask me, is pretty good and very progressive from Ford. Now, moving on to practicality of your Mustang Mach-E, it's a big SUV, so you expect it to have good boot space. As you can see, an auto tailgate to help. And this is 402 litres worth of space. And there is a slight boot lip, but there is an adjustable load floor here, so you can eradicate that. There's also storage underneath for your charging cables. And if you fold the seats down, you find a 60-40 split. But the storage on the Mach-E doesn't stop here. There's a strange place on this car that has a great big hole left from the disappearance of the V8. The space, of course, is under the bonnet where the old thumping V8 heart of the Mustang used to live. Under here now is a 100-litre frunk, and it's perfect for storing your charging cables. And if you remove this divider, you've got even more space. Now, sitting in the back of the Mach-E, we find lots of space for me, and this is fitted to my driving position, and I've got plenty of space to stretch out and have some comfort. You can comfortably fit 4 large adults in the car, and you can even fit another one in the middle here, and that's thanks to the flat floor. Now, the reason this car comes with a flat floor is because it has no transmission system. Unlike a traditional petrol or diesel car, the electric motor runs everything at the wheels, so you don't need the power transition down there. Instead, under the floor, we find the battery pack, which is completely flat. So back of the space is pretty good, and I've got adequate headroom to this gorgeous panoramic roof, which I'll show you again a little bit later on. So now we're inside the Mach-E because I want to talk about interior storage. And first of all, we got some nice large door pockets here. I've got a big storage here with the 2 cup holders, including the wireless charging mat. And if I come back under here, you can see I've got another expansive space. Lift the armrest, and we've got a huge center console which goes really deep with a 12-volt connector for fitting as well. Also to note, under here we have a space for a USB and a USB-C plug as well for some of the newer phones. This car is pretty well connected, and when you add that, you don't need to plug it in to use your Apple CarPlay. Put your phone in the charging mat and it will wirelessly connect Apple CarPlay or Android Auto to the screen, and that for me is a winner on Sync 4A. To quickly touch on the towing capacity of the Mach-E, you can have a tow bar fitted to the back here, but it is only good for 750 kilograms worth of rear weight. I want to touch on the base now with the Ford Pass app, which works with the Mach-E in so many ways more than any other car. Now, I can't show you on my phone because it's not connected to this Mach-E. However, I can tell you about it that you can start the car, you can set the heating functions all up on the car to be ready for you in the winter time. You can also set up journey planning, which you can then send to the car via Bluetooth, and it will come to the car and be ready for you when you go, as well as plenty of monitoring functions on the vehicle as well. You can also change your driver profiles via your Ford Pass app, so if, say, your partner's going to take the car out before she goes, you can tuck it in and tell the car who's going to be there, and it will set her preferences up on the center console and the seat settings. The all-wheel drive variant of the Mach-E, like the one I have today, as you can see by the badge down the bottom here, is pretty good in some challenging conditions as well, as it's able to stagger its power on the different axles due to the motors being separate to each other, and it gives you that extra grip in some of the more challenging conditions that we face in the UK, and it can also be pretty good in the snow as well. Moving on to styling the Mach-E, and the first thing I'm going to mention are the colours. It starts out in its absolute black format, but if you want, this is the top rapid red, and as I say, it comes in 6 colours, but the GT version comes in 3 exclusive colours to help you stand out just that little bit more. Now, looking at the front, it's got quite a heavy nod to its V8 predecessor with the aggressive headlights and the flares on the bonnet. It looks like it's snarling, but the main thing to notice compared to the normal car is there is no grille, instead replaced by this piece of bodywork to aid air moving around the car and reduce drag. And that's also the same for the cooling vents down here, which activate when the motor system's getting a bit warm. They open up to allow some airflow, but when it doesn't need it, they shut down and help the air move around the car smoothly, thus extending the range. And it is a fantastic looking car from the front. Now, looking down the side of the Mach-E, it does have more styling nods to the V8 Coupe, and effectively its body is a coupe on steroids. Now, I'm going to point your direction to this roof pillar because it comes all the way back here absolutely beautifully, then kind of drops off and becomes two-tone. And the reason Ford have done this is because the roof line sits here to the spoiler, but this line on the Rapid Red makes it look more like the coupe, which makes it look sportier. It allows the bodywork to flow more, and it makes the car just look absolutely fantastic. I've said it twice and I'm going to say it again, more styling cues from the V8 predecessor. The sloping roof line, the 3-barred lights at the back, really makes this car look like the V8 Mustang, and they've done a fantastic job in incorporating this kind of coupe look and transforming it into an SUV, because it really has retained a basic primal form of what the coupe looks like, and it just helps this car look magnificent from every single angle. Now, talking about interior styling, we've first of all got these beautiful 6-way adjustable seats, all in the nice firm leather with a gorgeous red stitching, and that brings me on to most of the features in this car actually are the really firm leathers and a bit of carbon effect there as well, which make it feel nice and premium. The Bang & Olufsen soundbar and sound system in this car is amazing. Just listen to this. How awesome does that sound? This car really is well kitted out in a sound system. Now, I'm going to show you now the middle screen, which is the infotainment system here. 15.5 inch touchscreen from Ford, and this hosts pretty much everything including Sync 4A, and I'll show you more about this screen in the feature demonstration section. Down the middle here we have some really nice more firm leathers and the storage I showed you earlier, including the gear selection dial, which is really nice and easy to use, the parking assist selection button, which automatically comes up on the screen here. And in the center behind the steering wheel you find this screen, which gives you all the information that you need to drive, your range, your battery percentage and the speed And finally the gear you're in, as you can see that changing up the side there as well. This car really is well kitted out inside and is full of like this just beautiful firm plastic and kitted with the Pony logo here. There are very few cues in this car to tell you it's a Ford, except when you turn the power off and the central screen will flash you a Ford badge when it's fully shut down. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the 15.5 inch touchscreen as part of the feature demonstration part of this video, because this is where you control the entire car from. Down the bottom here you've got your previously visited sections. You can see my CarPlay, my nav and my owner's manual, which I'm going to quickly show you a pretty cool feature. So I've got it preloaded on this video here for us, the courtesy white video. If I turn that on and turn the volume up, it will play for the speakers and tell me about the car.
I just washed my windows.
That is pretty cool. Now with that you can also search for stuff. This screen is very responsive, much better than previously, and here you go, straight away it gives me all the stuff I could possibly want and the information. And this replaces your standardized logbook to tell you what's going on. This button at the top here brings you to the entire section, so you can go from your CarPlay, an app catalogue, owner's manual, phone navigation, tyre pressures, all this sort of thing as well, which will automatically load on the screen here, giving you plenty of information. You can see where your local electronic charging stations are going to be. It gives me the list of where nearby ones are for me, so as you can see I'm pretty central to these 5. If I can also go for a dynamic parking, which will find me car parks nearby. Now because I'm in the middle of nowhere, there aren't any car parks nearby. If I touch this Mach-E in the corner, you're going to notice it will move, which I think that's really well programmed. But it'll bring up this kind of control menu, and I can select the driving mode from active, whisper, untamed, which will change the propulsion sounds, and untamed feels like it's got a bit more throttle response as well. I can turn on one pedal driving, another feature I'll show you a little later on, and down the side I can look at the all-round cameras. I can see what's going on with the parking sensors as well, split the cameras. It really is quite a clever, nifty bit of kit. We can go into the parking settings. If I press the P button in the middle, which I showed you earlier, we can activate the park assist, but I don't want to do that right now. You can change some of the driver assistance, so you also hold your traction control and even some of the additional controls, which will move us over to settings. Now talking about settings, this is the settings menu, and it is just got so much on there. The blind spot, wrong way alert, and you can turn all of this off as well. But also you've got your driver profiles. There aren't any created on this car just yet. We've got the charge information, so when we can schedule some charging up there, we can press this button here and it will allow us to change some of the settings. We can go to vehicle, and once that loads you're going to see there are absolute tons of vehicle settings on here. It is just unbelievable the amount of information this car gives you from this massive screen. You literally can control the entire car from this screen and all of these settings. It really is very well put together by Ford. And the other thing that I love what Ford have done with this is a lot of these settings, a lot of these controls you can't use while driving, because that's always been a big question on electric cars, is why have they got this big screen when you can't use a phone? Well, you can't use a lot of this. You can use the climate control features down the bottom here, but a lot of this setting stuff you do need to pull over to change, which I think is a really nice touch from Ford. Now the headlights on the Mach-E have a feature that a lot of Fords are getting nowadays, and that's the automatic high beam, low beam, and that all the settings in the windscreen that detect oncoming traffic, and they will dip and raise your high beam as quick as you like to allow you to give the best possible visibility at all times, as well as the side visibility of what's coming on the side of the road. It helps you see perfectly at night and further increases the safety of this vehicle. Now the next thing I want to show you is the blind spot information system, and this has radar on the car which detects when a car is in this blind spot area here, and you necessarily can't see it through the window or in the mirror. What the car will do, it will illuminate this sign here, and if you then indicate, it will flash and give you an audible warning in the cockpit to tell you that there's something there, so it warns you and you're safe. You're not going to pull out and have a collision, which just again is another further enhancement of the safety features of this vehicle. Now the next thing to show you in the Mach-E I've got to be driving to do for the next few segments, and that is going to be the limiter and the active cruise control system. So you press this button here, you can select your speed with this, take your feet away from the pedals, and the car will keep itself at said speed. But it's intelligent as well, so if any cars would be in front of me and slow down to 20, it would all of a sudden slow the car down and keep a safe distance, which is controlled from this button just here as well. So I can set it to 2, 4, 6 and 8 seconds. This is a very, very incredibly clever car, and the lane keep assist here as well also allows me to stay between the lines, and just if I start to lose concentration and wander, the car will detect this and pull me back into line. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the one pedal drive function, which is incredibly clever, and as you can see by this little light here, it shows I've got it on. I don't need to touch the brake, I can simply accelerate with the accelerator pedal, and when I lift off, the car will bring itself to a gentle halt, and unlike most electric automatic cars, it will hold itself stationary. Now if I need to make an emergency stop, I can obviously then use the brake, but I've simply then just got to press the pedal and pull away like so. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you know the braking capability of the one pedal system, you can comfortably use this car without ever having to use the brakes again, which helps extend the brake life, and not only that, reduce the harmful emission of brake dust into the environment. Now the next thing I'm going to show you on the Mach-E is the active park assist, and as you can see I've already got it preset for some parallel parking. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the car to a lower speed now, and as I slow down, the car's going to start detecting for me as I indicate what's going on, and the car's going to find itself and space that it can pull itself into, and it's using radars at the side of the car to detect if a space is large enough for it to park in. And when it's found one, it will give me an audible warning and tell me to pull up to a safe stop. So it's found a space, I stop, shift into neutral and release the steering wheel, hold the park button, as I hold this button down, you see the Mach-E is steering itself. It's pretty surreal, I'm not doing anything here. I'm just holding the park button. I'm still holding the park button. This is very, very surreal. And the Mach-E has just parallel parked itself better than I've ever parallel parked before. And as you can see, the lorry has moved, so it's just moving itself into position now. And it will tell me when it's done. And I'm parked. Apply the brake, and there you go. How awesome is that? And now I'm going to show you the Mach-E reversing into a space. The next thing is the Mach-E pulling out of the space. So I want to come out of the space here, so I'm going to indicate, shift into neutral, release the brake and hold the parking button. And the Mach-E is going to back me up automatically to how far it needs to swing its nose out. It's then going to pull its thing like that, and now it's told me it's finished and that I can take control and pull out of a space with space at the front to spare. How cool is that? And now the last bit of parking assistance that I'm going to show you is the bay park. So that's all set up now. I'm going to pull into this golf club car park as you would with your new Mach-E, and I'm going to drive. I'm going to pull up here along some spaces. The car is currently using its radar guidance to detect if any spaces have been found, so it's found a space. Into neutral, release and hold the auto park button, and now the Mach-E is driving itself back into a bay. So it's seen the bay, we can obviously see it on the screen. I'm just keeping an eye on the front here as well. It's automatically adjusting itself. I'm trusting the car here. This is a pretty surreal experience, a bit like the parallel parking. It's quite clever. So the car's now detected it needs to pull itself forward a bit, so that's an awesome feature for those who aren't quite as confident parking a car. And it's done it perfectly. It's parked itself absolutely perfectly in the space, and we're done. Now that is an awesome feature. Now, not more of a feature demonstration, but more of its electrical capabilities. And as you can see, I'm plugged into a high-powered charger here, which is actually capable of 350 kilowatts. The Mach-E can charge itself to over 150 kilowatts, which will get you that charge between 10 and 80% in around the 40-minute mark. And that gives you a substantial chunk of range at the ever-growing places like this one, the electric forecourts. What else do you need to know that I haven't already covered off on the Mach-E? Well, you can buy it with an automatic wall box at home from Ford, and they'll come and fit this at a time that suits you as well. The Mach-E weighs 2 tons, which means it's a lot lighter than some of its rivals, which helps it achieve the best range. But it's also very safe, which I've mentioned the safety features earlier, with 5 Euro NCAP stars, and it is built very well and it looks fantastic. The last features I want to show you on the Mach-E today is this, the full-length panoramic roof. This roof is tinted just like the window, so you're not going to get too much glare off of it, but it just makes the cabin feel so much larger, and I've got so much headroom here in the back. It really does make the Mach-E feel like a very comfortable place to be. And there you have it, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, arguably the most important car Ford will ever make. And there is truly so much to cover off with this car, and I hope I've done it justice in the video today for you guys, and I hope I've inspired some of you to come down and test drive one. Speaking of test drives, if you want to take a Mach-E out for a drive, or you want to know more information than I've given you today, contact your local Allen Motor Group dealer. My name is Jamie Green, this is Product Gurus, and this is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Till next time, take care and stay safe.